Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Defub21, and lo and behold, surprise, 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 and of course, by that I mean no surprise at all, another video game trailer. This is actually the opening cinematic sequence from the when you initially load up Dark Souls 3, which is not out until April the 12th. But they're obviously it's a bit early, I think, to be releasing the kind of the cinematic trailer, the opening sequence trailer for your game. A lot of studios do that these days. I mentioned it before, say with the original Dawn of War and Dawn of War 2, kind of usually the last trailer they release before the game comes out is the opening cinematic, because they do tend to spend quite a bit of money on those. But for some reason, is it Namco Bandai, or I can't remember who makes Dark Souls. I know it's From Software as the developer, but I can't remember the name of the publisher off the top of my head. I apologize profusely if anyone listening is terribly offended by that. But it's the opening cinematic trailer for Dark Souls 3. It's been put out now, even though the game isn't out till April, which is 2 and a bit months away at this stage. But what the hell, we'll take a look and then I'll let you know what I think afterwards. See you in a bit.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep, Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers. And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital, Yon the Giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Well, isn't that very Dark Soulsy? Again, it's typical for Dark Souls, and it's typical for cinematics in Dark Souls games. You've got a kind of very kind of gothic sounding voiceover. You've got again a completely CG sequence, a very high quality one, based in the Dark Souls world. It wouldn't make much sense if your familiarity with the Dark Souls universe, as it were well, not even non-existent. If you're only a bit of experience playing the game, you might. The whole thing is, I mean, it's one of the core tricks of the Dark Souls series. They are quite inscrutable games in terms of the world and the story and everything else. It can take quite a while to figure the whole thing out. And I'm sure there's some people who've played the game, probably even to completion, who, in terms of the story, don't really understand what the hell's going on. But again, it's the opening cinematic. It's a bit odd. I mean, yes, video games do. Well, saying it's a bit odd for an opening cinematic for a Dark Souls game is kind of ridiculous in of itself. But it is a bit odd that they're releasing this opening cinematic sequence from the game itself. And now, because the game isn't out till April the 12th, as the trailer says, and the opening cinematic, if you're going to use it in a game trailer or a trailer for a video game, it's usually the launch trailer, the final trailer before the game actually hits the street. So it's a bit odd they're releasing that now in February, and the game isn't out until the 12th of April. But apart from that, I mean, what are they going to do between now and then? I mean, I'm sure they're going to have other trailers of some sort, but again, the opening cinematic sequence is usually in terms of production quality and so on, by far the biggest budget sequence they've got, excluding in-game footage. It's probably the most fanciest way to have put a trailer together for a video game. And I would think really they should have launched it maybe within, or released this sequence a week before the game out, certainly not 2 months. It'll be interesting on a kind of a side note, unrelated to the trailer itself, as to whether this will be the first Dark Souls game designed from the ground up for the current gen systems, the Xbox One and the PS4. It'll also be the first Dark Souls game to be released post Bloodborne, which is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, which is the reason why I haven't played it, because I don't have a PlayStation 4 as of yet. And it'll be interesting to see whether the game lives up to both the hype and gets, if it's reviewed well, or if its reviews are negatively affected because it's compared to Bloodborne. I mean, Bloodborne is set in a different world. You've got guns, and the combat is much more aggressive than Dark Souls, which tend to be more defensive, more conservative in nature. But whether people prefer that, say, oh, this is much better than the old, Dark Souls stuff, and when they go to play Dark Souls 3, whether they compare compare Dark Souls 3 to Bloodborne favorably or not, might have I don't know how much of an impact it'll have on sales, I don't know, but it might have a significant impact in terms of review scores. But so far, it'll be the biggest and best in the franchise to date, because all the other ones previously have been effectively held back by the limitations of the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Certainly the original Dark Souls could be a bit creaky on the Xbox 360. That's the one I've played. I didn't play 2. I've played a chunk of the first one, but again, time being time and other games being other games, I'm afraid I didn't get through the whole thing. Or maybe the first third maybe I got through. Again, it's still sitting on my shelf looking at me. Play me. If it becomes available on backward compatibility in Xbox One, I might give it a go, but as it stands, I may go back to the series, I may not. I've got 77 hours so far into Fallout 4. I've not pursued the main story quest at all. I have 45 in Witcher 3. Between now and April the 12th, there's no chance I'll have completed both of those games by then. And frankly, I can only consume so many open world sandbox games / RPGs in a single year, and I think this will go on the back burner for me, if at all. And as I said, I didn't even complete the first, and I've never played number 2, so whether I get around to this or not, I don't know. But it's a decent enough trailer. Again, it's a bit surprising that they're they're launching this opening cinematic trailer now rather than a week before the game comes out. I'm sure there's some thinking of some sort behind that. What that is, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's effectively the biggest budget trailer we're going to get for this game, and because in terms of production values and all the rest, looks good. As I said, very Dark Soulsy, nothing particularly unexpected for a Dark Souls game, a trailer for a Dark Souls game, and that pretty much sums it up. Not bad or terrible, but not absolutely fantastic either. So we'll wait till this until April and see the reviews, and then I'll take a view of whether I'm going to buy it or not. For the time being, this is Defub21. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, and if you have a look at my channel, and feel free to subscribe. Toodaloo.